I can remember Jason coming to me, and I can remember other friends coming to me and saying, Matt, you gotta slow down. And I mean, these are friends that I would party with. And so, if you've got your party friends coming to you saying, Bud, you gotta slow it down a little bit.
Hello and welcome to the final installment of our inaugural episode of our podcast on YouTube. It's called This Sucks. My name is Trey, and along with me and my three friends, Jason, Matt, and Kevin, we've been discussing our life experience with executive function disorder. In this episode, or in this segment, we're dealing with some of the more serious sides that can run alongside of executive function disorder. The depression, the anxiety, benefits of using medication, or the downsides of taking yourself off medication and self-medicating with less than desirable substances. Again, look, these are our experiences. This is not medical advice. You should not be taking anything that we say as medical advice. We are just four dudes on YouTube. So hopefully you've enjoyed part 1 and 2, which if you haven't watched those, there will be somewhere up here, a little card or something that'll drop in. If you have anything you want to share, please share it in the comments. If you've enjoyed this and you would like to get updates on future episodes, please click like, subscribe, share, and click the notification bell. All right, part 3 right now. We're starting to get back to the point where before like the mid 90s to mid 2000s, where everybody under the sun had ADD, had ADHD. It was all about, oh, your kid can't sit down. Oh, they have ADD. Here's, this stimulant or that medication. And I really feel like that time period, I don't know if it was an actual decade, but that time period actually set back the individuals like us who actually relied on those medications, and it's made it harder to be able to get the medications, because I've had difficulty trying to get my medications. For a stimulant, you have to do a triplicate. One goes to the DEA, one goes to the state, and one goes to the pharmacy. And
Yeah,
it is
that
tracked.
goes back to the stigma I was talking about. Hey, we've got to get we need to see a form of identification. We have to scan your ID because this is a
Yep.
controlled substance. They have to go back to a special part of the fucking room to get it. And of course, they do that in front of everybody else in the pharmacy and make you feel like
Make you feel very
worthless.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's a
I mean,
Schedule
they
2.
make you feel like you're a drug addict, basically.
Oh, and
Yeah.
the best part is when it doesn't work, because your respective issues alongside your ADD, right? Because ADD is never alone in its divergence, right? There's always something else that goes with it.
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
whether it's dyslexia or autism,
I
or
think the
you know,
autism is a real thing, like Kevin said. I think it's
yeah,
a I remember do you remember Asperger's? They don't say that anymore.
no, it's just
Um,
part of the spectrum now.
Yeah, I just
but
prefer hamburgers, really.
I know, but that was the thing. I remember Jerry
Sorry.
Seinfeld. I remember Jerry Seinfeld in an interview.
Yeah.
He said, I was reading a book about this guy about Asperger's, and he's like, "This is fucking me. Like this is me." And I remember distinctively for myself personally, when I was a kid, I can remember so many people in my life, including really close family people, just saying, "He's just an asshole." And they would say that all the time about me, and I just thought, for after a while, when you're called that long enough, you think that's just who you
That's what
are.
you are.
I'm just an
Mhm.
asshole then. But really, I think that really think that I'm on that spectrum too.
Well,
Um,
and most of us are, whether it's, high functioning or not, whether we want to believe it or not. Each
sorry.
each
We
each
also
one
like
of
to
us.
talk to
Sorry,
inanimate objects.
squirrel.
Yeah.
We
But
all do that.
all of us in some form or fashion, if you're neurodivergent, I think, and I could be wrong on this, but I think if you're neurodivergent, you are somewhere on that spectrum,
Absolutely.
and it may be high functioning, barely noticeable, but there's going to be that one thing where you have to tap your foot or, whatever, or you're further along on it where you're able to count every toothpick in the box when it falls on the floor. I mean, it's just one of those things
Yeah.
where you're somewhere in that range, right? And speaking of Asperger's, there was a comedian that I was rolling through the little shorts who he said, when I was growing up, I was diagnosed with Asperger's, and I finally got to where I was okay with that. And then now they've changed it. He's like, I no longer have Asperger's. I'm something else. And my
Mhm.
dog is apparently really pissed off about the word Asperger's because
Sorry, it's killing me, man.
Hey,
he's
if that
just going off.
Asperger's, I want an Asperger.
I
He's
know.
he's like,
If,
"Don't you
YouTube
call
doesn't
people that."
flag us for this, I mean, right?
But the the whole point of this is I really do believe that all of us are somewhere on that spectrum, and it's
Yeah.
it's just
My wife
You know,
does
man, what's
finding your
too.
really cool
place.
about all of this is that because of this difference, you are three of the best and longest friendships I've ever had. I mean, in my almost 50 years on this planet. And that's because we had that in common because of the place we were in, like you said, in the box we were in, but we really got to know each other for who we were and our differences and really, I don't know, it just always flowed and worked well that way, respect each other that way.
Yeah.
Hell, we made fun of each other because of it. I think that was probably great therapy for all of us growing up because we would just bust each other's chops over the craziest
Well,
stuff.
and I think our differences complemented our similarities.
Oh
I was
yeah,
about to say
You
the
absolutely.
know,
exact same thing.
that's one of the things that we had enough differences to where we could introduce each other to something else where we had the similarities to where we could still tolerate each other.
Hey,
And,
music was a
Yeah.
biggie.
yeah,
you know
absolutely. So hold on just a second. I'm gonna go shut that dog up. The days of the natural substances that we would partake in after school.
So that was just being
I
that was
don't even
just
know how to word that without, some
herbally infused is the word I use.
okay.
I would go
So,
with that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that had me bouncing
We
off
ate
the
a lot of
walls.
broccoli after
You know,
school.
everybody else would be eating a
Broccoli.
Twinkie and I'm bouncing off the walls trying to see how fast I could play Kevin's drums, and
Yeah.
Broccoli
everybody
does that
else
for
is
some people.
is just like, sit down, shut up, enjoy the Twinkie, man. That was like, yeah, but
I got to
that
be honest, man. There were
so
days we were so herbally infused. That's why we could play a 45-minute song. I mean, I feel like we were way ahead of our day, right
The-
before Dream Theater, and everybody was doing like
yeah.
80-minute songs. Like we were doing them every day after school, every
but
day.
I haven't touched that since high school, and it's one of those things that the day that I couldn't remember a riff 10 minutes after I played it, I was like, okay, I'm done with that. But that's never been something that has been a yay or nay for me either, smoking on the other hand, as far as addictions go, like some of us are addicted to alcohol, some of us are addicted to caffeine. Smoking was the one that got me. Nicotine in general is the one that uh, I I hyper focus when I have that. So when I have my nicotine, I am able to do my job and function as a normal person would. It does help me focus.
Mm,
Um,
Well, nicotine's a
I'm
stimulant.
addi
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm addicted to nicotine like you are. I can't like it would drive me crazy because I would date girls that would be like, "Well, I can smoke when I drink, and then I don't have to smoke after that." Like I would go from 0 to like a pack and a half a day. Like that was
Yep.
just like I
Well, in
couldn't
high school, man, we all
couldn't stop.
smoked in high school, like with the exception of Trey. Trey was like,
Trey was the only one who didn't do anything.
that's because Trey was smart.
Because I was the lookout.
Oh,
Well, I mean, yes.
Oh no. I don't know. I mean, I think Trey was the late bloomer. He didn't hit
Oh
that
no,
stuff
I was
until
later. Definitely the late bloomer because once we went to what was it when I turned 21? It's when I vomited on the motorcycle outside of. It's now closed, right? Fantasy Ranch.
Oh yeah, it's gone. It was a music club for a while. I played some gigs over there.
Where was that?
Off of
I don't even
360.
Yeah.
You know where Mariano's is?
No.
Off of 360.
No.
Remember that old broadcast school that was over there?
It's the opposite side from Six Flags, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's on the east side of 360.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
speaking of
Fantasy Ranch
six,
used to be over there, and then they just called it the Ranch, and it was a music venue. They still had the same gentleman's establishment
Oh.
menu, and the food was great and cheap, and then you could play a gig, and it was cool. I never would touch the carpet though. I was really scared.
Yeah. The heaviest I ever drank was during my second marriage. And I mean, it was, and that's something we need to get into is the relationship damage that executive function can do.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I mean, I remember entering the recycle bins one day or taking them out and they were filled. And we're talking like the what is it? The 50 gallon or the 55 gallon rollout recycle bin.
Yeah.
And it was full of beer bottles. I'm like, we didn't do anything. It's like, is this us? I'm like, okay, this.
how old were you?
I was like, I
How
gotta
old were
stop.
you at that point?
That was late 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was late 20s. And I still drank a little bit after that. But as I got older, I noticed that when I would go out and socially drink, I would binge drink. And I wouldn't just have one or have a couple and enjoy it. No, it was 0 to 100. I'm getting lit and I'm going to pass out. That's what I'm going to do. And I didn't plan it. It's not like I wanted to do that. But as soon as I had the first drink, that's it. It's on.
That's
and
the
we're going
hardest
until I
thing
pass
ever,
out.
man, with really and truly with any of it. And like, I mean, I could go drink 12 beers now, but it's just not the end result that I want because I will feel terrible tomorrow. You know, I just don't handle it the way that I used to. And
your liver's worn out. That's what happened to me.
I just can't sleep. Like, like throughout my 20s, like I drank like a fish, man. You know, I mean, I had a lot going on personally, and drinking was my escape at that point. You know, there was, with friends going to jail and parents dying and things like that. It was one of those where it's like, I was drinking as much as I could just to escape. But after my 29th or 30th birthday, somewhere in there, I just kind of was just like, yeah, I'm kind of over this. And I still had my times where I would get, go out and get plowed. It was not nearly as often as it was in my 20s. And then just over time, it just got less and less and less. And it started getting to a point where 1 or 2 beers when I was going out, I would start getting this bad headache after just 1 or 2 beers. And I would go home and I just slept like complete crap. And I mean, like, I never got hangovers. I'd never in my life have I experienced a hangover.
Lucky bastard.
Yeah, son of a bitch.
Yeah, that's the general consensus between from everybody that hears that.
Well,
But
those
honestly,
of us
never
with,
had one.
those of us with hangovers are actually the blessed ones, I think.
Yeah, because, in all honesty, because that's a good deterrent, right? Like,
It
you're
was
like, "Oh my
great.
god, tomorrow I'm gonna wake up feeling like complete hell if I do this." Me, I didn't have that problem, I was like, "Man, I just get up and I'm ready to go. Let's go. Let's go do it." I had plenty of weekends where, or weeknights that I was just getting toasted and I was cleaning carpet during that time. And, I'd get hammered the night before. I was not going to bed until 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, getting up at 6 and going to work,
Parallel
you
parking
know?
cars in the ice.
I
But
mean, I could
yeah,
do
I
that when I
mean,
was younger. Now,
oh, oh,
no.
I couldn't do that today,
No.
but I mean, there was no hangover involved in any of that. It was
Yeah.
just
I
like,
think
yeah,
in my
okay, we just go on.
yeah, my
But,
20s and 30s.
now
Yeah.
I just don't want it now. There wasn't any real decision. It wasn't oh, I can't do this. There wasn't any medication involved in it. There wasn't any, it was just, I just kind of went, eh, I
Well,
just don't want to.
as you guys know, in my early 20s, I can remember Jason coming to me, and I can remember, other friends coming to me and saying, "Matt, you gotta slow down." And I mean, these are friends that I would party with. And so, if you've got your party friends coming to you saying, "Bud, you gotta slow it down a little bit," then
I
that's
mean, I
yeah.
did my fair share of drinking, and I mean, as far as in my early 20s, well, throughout pretty much the entirety of my 20s. But
Mm.
I mean, and I consider myself having been pretty bad during that time, and saw you and was like, dude.
I went to college kinda later than most people do. Like, I think from when I was about 24 to 26 was when I was going to the art institute. It was around, like, 2000 to 2002, and, so I was in a lot of trouble before that when I was living in Watauga, and then I decided to straighten out and go back to college, and at that point, I got back on my medication and then was able to go to college, and I did a great job, and I had great grades, and I was really interested in the work, and I did well. And it was a 2-year program, and then I got out of it, and and then I met somebody at the college, and we were together for a while, and we moved to Oregon together, and I got up to Oregon and um, broke up with that girl, and then my dad was just an hour drive north away with a winery full of free wine for me to drink every week. And from not that it was his fault, it was just the access was there. And I just started drinking every day after that, and got off my medication because the two things, of course, didn't mix very well. And I drank away my entire, 30s too, my 20s and my 30s. I didn't really stop drinking until, my wife now, stopped drinking, and, like, altogether, she stopped and said, "I'm not doing this at all anymore. I'm not even touching it." And I decided to stay as a winemaker for my job, and so that made it, even more difficult. But Um, I was able to get sober when I was about, I wanna say about 7 years ago, maybe when I was, like, 41 or 42. I was sober during that time, so it wasn't like I just had ADD medication or I was a drunk, it wasn't just, like, one or the other. I think just at one point, I got sober and I, realized that I didn't want my kids to see me as that person anymore. And that was why I stopped that. Um, and my wife too. I mean, she's really, like the driving force for me to just to be a better person than a drunk. I mean, Jesus. I mean, who wants to do that, right?
Yeah.
We both got lucky in that department, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
I got
was-
another point to bring up about the ADHD medication too. There, well, okay, so after we talked about that, I was thinking about when we were talking about neurodivergence and autism. Part of the concern I have, and this most of the driver for this in our family is my wife. When we were talking about our kids, and specifically one of our kids, and there was a point where we could go through some testing to get a diagnosis for autism, and we decided not to because of the current president. Um, there, the understanding or the conspiracy theory, I guess, around this is that if you have a child or have somebody in your life that's like diagnosed as autistic at a federal level or even at a state level in some states, that when you have somebody say like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. take over the health department
Yeah.
and all of a sudden say, hey, this isn't a real thing anymore, and by the way, these people are, we need to find them and we need to take them out, or we need to find them and we need to change them, we need to put them into some kind of therapy that,
need a
you know
national registration.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a
exactly.
I saw some
registration.
of that too, man. And my
That's what he was
first deal
calling
was
for.
is like, oh well, we just need to get all these people together and do all this. And I'm like, it's scary.
Another iteration of like having ADHD, the medication for ADHD stigmas, and now you go into neurodivergence and autism, and now there's stigma around that too. And you've
Yeah.
got these huge groups of people that just don't believe in it. They don't think they
Mhm.
just don't believe the science behind it.
Or they think something causes it externally.
Or
Yeah.
maybe it's a choice and not a way that you're wired.
Yeah. And that's, they throw out all the science. They don't listen to the science, There's plenty of science behind imaging and, like showing where the brain fires in
Oh
neurotypical
yeah, man.
versus where it fires in
There's so
neurodivergent.
much science on it.
But they don't want to believe
Yeah.
that science. They're like, no, that's not real. It's all because of vaccines. It's
That's the frustrating thing to me is that we we live, and I don't want to get too political here, but that we live in a country that at the moment right now really makes me feel like there's a lot of people in this country that don't have that are really very extreme in the opposite direction from myself.
well, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. There's also the people that don't want to believe because they are that, right? And they have been called idiots their whole life. And so now they're going to turn around and say, well, it ain't true. It ain't real. It's not this. I'm not like that. And they're going to get, real defensive about the diagnosis or not necessarily the diagnosis, but the
I get pissed off at the
realization.
50% of the people that fake it, and then I get pissed off at the 50% of people that don't understand.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's,
Are
it's
you talking about a sexual encounter right now, or what?
Just in general on how they treat
I can't land a joke to save my life here. Come on, guys, that was funny. I think people still kind of discount what you're going through as a person, as an adult. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel that
Yeah,
a lot
totally.
around me.
I
well,
feel
we
like
get
they've
it
made
from in the
strides.
community too, because the neurodivergence is so different between each person.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
Individual.
yeah, like my experience with ADHD is not going to be the same as your experience with ADHD,
No.
which is why some medications would work on you that don't work on me.
Right,
Or
and
vice
also
versa.
why that's also why they've gotten into the whole deal of, well, we can't call it ADD or ADHD anymore. We have to have like a single type and a combined type, and then there are subs of those because every person, you may fit 3 of the 10, things in this category, but 8 out of the 10 in this category. It just it's interesting on how much of it that they're discovering is actually linked to autism.
Well, yeah,
two degrees,
yeah.
and it depends on the severity of the ADHD and the differences. Like I definitely have the dyscalculia, but my son's autism, unfortunately, a lot of ADHD stuff going on there, and dysgraphia and dyscalculia. Yeah,
Yeah.
all kinds of fun stuff going on.
No,
Yeah.
I know, and I think the right terms here too, as Jason said, neurodivergence is a
Yeah,
great, and then my wife will always say, like, then regular people would be called neurotypical people, which
Yeah.
kinda
yeah.
which kinda sounds like you're making fun of them a little bit, which
Yeah.
I
F
think
you, Becky.
I think
Well,
that's great,
the thing that
but
I find amusing is I really truly believe that neurodivergent is is not the minority at this point. I really
mm,
truly believe that neurotypical is the
I agree.
minority.
I agree.
And with that, would neurotypical be the best phrase? Would that be the proper terminology? Because it's not typical if you're the minority,
That's
right?
right.
no,
Burn the witch.
So
Burn the witch.
exactly.
well, so like I used to get pretty mad when people would call me ADHD. I was like, it is not the same as ADD. It's like I am not hyperactive. And I mean, it was is literally just recently, like within the last year, that it was explained to me in a different way. It's not necessarily, hyperactive bouncing off the walls
Yeah.
hyperactive, right?
Eh,
It's focusing more on the hyper part of that, where your ADHD, if you have a tendency to hyper focus or hyper analyze or be hyperactive, anything that's hyper, not hypo, would
Right.
fall under the ADHD, right?
Well, and
yeah,
that's why I really have, like I said, or you guys were saying, you know, neurodivergent things I learned from my kids, because I was like neurodivergent because my daughter's like, Dad, you are so neurodivergent some days, and I'm like, huh? And so I had to once again learn more about what that was, and I'm like, damn, why didn't we have this when I was younger? Because this is great. This
Yeah.
explains even more,
well,
and
and I
it
think
covers so much more that it's like, oh my god, this is even cooler. So I like neurodivergent because the word makes me feel like an X-Men. I really think it's unique. We've all had so many incredibly unique experiences individually, uh, divorces, marriages, addictions, all these different things. But again, here we still are 30 years later. We're just sitting here having this conversation like this. So,
yeah,
like Matt
I
said, I think
hear
this is
you.
a really cool medium
Yeah.
for that. I think it's kind of therapeutic for all of us to do this.